are quite good. Attack warning.
Is it for real?
Attack warning. It's for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, quick, get down! 1, 2, 3!
Welcome, everybody, to the Dropped Culture Podcast. We're that podcast where we take that piece of pop culture you forgot about or missed, shine it up real nice, and cram it in your ear holes. And here at Drop Culture, we are having a Hong Kong holiday.
Damn right we are.
That's right. And this is the third part of the Hong Kong holiday, so we're getting deep into some John Woo. We've Tarantino'd back from Hard Target, his first Hollywood blockbuster. And we've done Hard Boiled, the last movie he made in Hong Kong.
The year before.
Correct. And now, what movie are we doing, Brock?
The Killer.
Oh, and by the way, this is Brock.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm
Brock.
Dan. Yeah.
There's Dan. He
Hi.
just said hi.
Also Dan, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's The Killer from 1988.
Absolutely.
Or 1989. But what's there to say about this movie? This is a genre-defining movie, and it also is a multi-cultural, national phenomenon.
Oh, absolutely.
To create almost most of everything that we love today, as far as like action movies go. You can trace this shit back to this, and then, of course, Shaw Brothers and everything else.
Well, and I was going to say that you can see that a lot of movies take from this, but this also takes from a lot of movies before it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is super cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the over-the-top action that you get, which is amazing. And this is a film that, you know, even being a Hong Kong film, was well received within the United States.
Oh, before it was in Hong Kong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hong Kong, it won a lot of awards. Best director, I think best cinematography.
Did it win,
like
or was it nominated?
I think
it may have.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm pretty sure.
Not shooting down what you're saying. I was just asking.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's super awesome.
The film won for best director, best editing.
And this is at what? The Hong Kong?
Hong Kong Film Awards.
Okay.
Nominated for best picture, best supporting actor, best screenplay, best cinematography, and yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. That's why.
I mean, just absolutely, like I said, I mean, this is a genre-defining movie. This is the movie that if you want to know Quentin Tarantino or you want to know Robert Rodriguez especially, you watch this movie and you're like, okay, I could trace a lineage here. You know, this is like their fathers. You know what I mean? This is their first, you know? And pretty soon it'll become the grandfathers. But the thing about this movie is absolutely the action scenes are so good.
Oh, they are. They're real good.
And it's not cheesy either.
No, and I think that's like when we get into the production of this, we're going to talk about the time spent. Because he had double the time that you would have for a normal Hong Kong film. He had over 90 days.
God.
36 of those days took place on the final climax in that living room.
Oh, man. No wonder, because it's perfect.
And then another 26 days, 20-something days,
for the
was for the other big fight scene.
For the last shootout.
So that's 30... That's like 2/3 of your time, just on those two scenes, and you can tell. And they're good, long ass scenes.
Oh,
don't get me wrong.
There's so many stops in them, though. That's one thing I think that lends a little bit more to the artistic side of it. You know
Sure.
what I mean? It's not straight through, but there's a lot of slow mo, like boom, let's start over, boom, next level. You know what I mean?
Well, and what I can't, and we'll when we get to the guy that did the music, he actually inserted things to take away from some of the over the top violence to kind of reset it and tone it down a little bit.
I thought that
In a way,
their music
you know?
choices were great too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything that
Though
they
Wu
had.
didn't like the song, he did not originally pick the song that that she sang,
Oh.
that Jenny sang. He wanted to do a jazz song, and the guy that was doing the music was like, people from Hong Kong don't like jazz or understand it.
But then in his next movie, guess what?
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Screw you.
Yeah, it's
Jazz.
Nati.
Give me that clarinet. I'll show you jazz.
Well, you didn't have you did have a major character playing an instrument
Yes.
fakely.
Well, I mean, that is a running theme along with doves.
Yes.
And
And this
pigeons.
one right here, this has a little bit of controversy in it because
Controversy.
there's a lot of people that say that there's homoerotic tones in it.
But okay, so yeah, and we'll get, because they really, and the biggest thing was when they went to go do a remake of it for American audiences, and they were like, yeah, we don't want to use that dynamic because of the fear of them taking it as homoerotic. So then the idea was to change it to more of the relationship between Jenny and Jeff.
See, this was
And then this movie's went to be remade like 4 or 5 times for America. I think the last time we talked about it was like 2019.
See, here's the thing. It's not homoerotic in this movie.
Not at all.
This is a transcendent kind of a movie because it is like a trial. This is like a warrior movie almost. You know what I mean? Like a soldier movie.
Well, and again, what Wu does well, he takes two people who are on the opposite sides of something and they come together. You know what I mean?
Like Spy versus Spy.
Yeah,
That's kind of where
kind
he was saying it was. He was always influenced by Spy versus Spy, the white and the black, even though they were really going against each other. When the chips are down, they're still friends, you know, in some weird way, which is crazy. You know, this was another Chow Yun-fat masterpiece. His acting, and you know, even though I posed that question, who is more badass, Cobra or Tequila, right? This one, he throws some punches that look pretty legit. You know,
Yeah.
I think even.
But I mean, this is a different character.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
I think he had to psych himself up for that scene anyway because he doesn't like violence. And even the stuntmen were like, yo, pull your punches a little bit, bro. You're kicking our ass here. I mean, Chow Yun-fat he's kind of intimidating. He could probably whoop the shit out of anybody, even though he's a pacifist pretty much.
Right.
But there's a couple of things in here where you're like, damn. You know, it looks like he could really whoop your ass.
I think he's more of like that's a good comparison as Cobra. And the reason I say that is because it's not like when you look at Sylvester Stallone, you're like, he's got the skills to kick my ass.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, he's just going to kick ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that dude. Yeah, no.
It's not like if
No.
you met him in a real brawl or something, you're going to be like, cut.
Not that guy. Not that guy.
I don't know.
I'll take the pony. You take the stallion.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's not like even Van Damme. Right? I would not want to, if like I had my choice of fighting any of those people, I would not fight Van Damme.
I'd not fight any of them.
Well, of course. I'm saying if that
Yeah.
was like my options.
Yeah.
Van Damme would be the last one of those 3 that I would take because
Yeah.
I know that he would kick my ass and I wouldn't even know it. You know what I mean?
Really fast. And
Yeah.
he would literally be kicking you.
Exactly. And he would do the splits when he was done.
Yes.
And
Johnny
nobody
Cage
needs
that
to see
shit.
that. I don't need him to do the splits and punch me in the balls.
You're like,
But yeah, so I don't think they have the same skill sets is what I'm saying, you know.
Correct.
They're just badasses because they're badass actors.
Even
and
though
they do have some sort of swagger to them, I guess.
yes,
You know.
when I was watching Cobra, whenever their home dude is about to kill or go after Bridget Nielsen in the hospital, right? And they're both separated and he's got to run out and the axe dudes come after him at his house.
Yeah.
He takes one kick and like kicks some dude like halfway across his deal. And I'm like, whoa. But then the punches that he's throwing, and as quick as he is, it's pretty cool. Just like this guy.
Yeah.
You know, this character right here is even, I mean, he's like 20 steps ahead.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like he can sense other rooms. It's weird.
And I think this is maybe kind of where you get the comparison to Clint Eastwood. Because Clint Eastwood's not a guy where if you were like he doesn't seem like a guy of particular skills. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's just a badass.
Yeah.
He just happens to be a badass. You know what I mean?
Right. Like you don't look at the man with no name. I mean, he looks like any other cowboy.
Exactly.
You know? And then you're like, yeah. That dude can...
Or Dirty Harry, you know? You're
Right.
like, he's just a dude. He's a cop.
He looks like an asshole.
Yeah. Turns out.
Turns out he really is. He likes to speak to invisible people in chairs.
And this is the first movie where John Woo actually uses the doves.
Mm-hmm.
So, which becomes a motif through a couple of his movies anyway.
Yeah, at least 3.
The last one, or Hard Target, rather.
Hard
and
Target.
Then Face Off.
Face Off.
Those are the 2 big ones I can think of.
Mission Impossible 2. Yeah, he did use them
I
in
don't
that.
want to talk about that movie ever again. I like John Woo, but not Mission Impossible 2. I wrote a haiku.
Dude,
that wasn't a haiku. but it rhymed.
This movie I have loved since I probably saw it in 91, maybe 92.
I definitely saw this after seeing Hard Target and Hard Boiled.
I saw this, I think
well after I saw.
I honestly think I saw this before Hard Target.
Really?
I think I saw this before, yeah, because I was still in 8th grade or 7th grade or something like that. I was still pretty young, but I remember because when did Pulp Fiction come out? That was 94. No, when did Reservoir Dogs come out?
93,
somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw it after
Maybe
I saw
92.
Reservoir Dogs. But
yeah, I think for me, like the order goes that I saw Hard Boiled, then Hard Target. I believe that's correct. I could be wrong. And then The Killer much later. Like not much later, but a couple years later. Anyways.
It was released here in the States on VHS in 92.
Okay.
I remember I saw it on the new release wall, and I saw both of them and I was like, that looks fucking bad as shit. I gotta watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that original cover just said The Killer down at the bottom and it had the blood splatters everywhere and it had them both like pointing the guns at each other. And I was like, damn. Right? And of course, this is the one where all my friends...
it came out the same year as Reservoir Dogs. 92 was Reservoir Dogs as well.
I think it came out just on VHS.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was released on VHS, yeah.
I see. Like that's what I was, yeah. But...
Because I remember just being enamored with this movie.
Well, I don't think Reservoir Dogs had a really big theatrical run. I think it was on VHS pretty quickly.
Yep. And then, in the early days of Tarantino's career, you're just like, wow, what was he like? And everybody was grabbing things and saying, this is what he liked, this is what he likes. And you're like impressionable, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go check this out. Sure. And then Pulp Fiction, and you're like, oh, this is the greatest. But this movie right here, we wouldn't have El Mariachi. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We wouldn't have Desperado, which Desperado, freaking Antonio Banderas in that one is pretty fucking badass.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
man.
dude. Of course.
I mean, for real. And the way that the action is done in Desperado, so close.
Yeah, very similar.
Yes,
I agree.
to this. And I really like the choreography of the bullets.
Yeah.
And that's weird to say.
No,
but
I
it's
don't think
literally
so.
like the way that the bullets were hitting things, and they were like spinning and twisting and doing all this weird stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was just fucking badass. My favorite of all is when they're in that lake house, right? And some dude comes in with like a machine gun towards the end of it, fires at the ground, right? But yet Chow Yun-fat,
he spins.
he does that spin in midair
Yeah.
and like falls down. Like you're like, holy shit! It's like he's fighting a rugby team, you know. And the thing is, too, at the very end, what did most of those guys look like?
Dead.
No. When they came in with the black suits, they were the
yeah,
Crazy
yeah,
88,
yeah,
man.
100%, yeah.
Literally, the Crazy 88 was in this movie because there was more than 88 of them.
A lot of them came to die.
But when I was watching that, I was thinking, holy shit, this is fucking Kill Bill. You know, except for this dude's got a gun instead of her having a sword. You know, it's the fucking Crazy 88 and they're going nuts on this thing. I mean, that's the only thing that I could really compare as far as like overall just action and carnage and everything like that.
Sure.
Which, you know, it does have its pauses. It does have its little things like that. But holy crap. This movie is I love this movie. I really do.
It's a good movie, for sure.
I love every part of it. Even the cheesy, because the first one that I saw, they it was the dub and they called each other Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, because there's like 3 or 4 different versions.
Yeah, there was one where it was Numbnuts.
Yeah, and Dipshit or something.
Numbnuts and Butthead.
Yeah.
And then there was the version which I think we both watched was Dumbo and Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The first one that I saw was Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which I always remembered it. And when I was watching it again this week, I was like, that's right. Holy shit. Yeah. But there's a lot of different, I don't know. This is a very straightforward movie, but the characterization is really cool.
Absolutely. There's some cool scenes too, like that build those characters. Like, I'm sure we'll get into it in the movie. I won't go too far into that. Actually, I'll stop right there.
Well, let's get into
yeah, absolutely.
Who was in it.
Who was it?
That one dude.
It was written and directed by John Woo, of course.
Yes.
Which I think most of this, like, he just had a really short treatment of, and he just developed it as they made it.
He liked it that way.
Yeah.
I think he likes that with his movies, to have the idea, and then, whoa, that sounded like Tummy Thunders, but it wasn't. But I think he just kind of
like be able to freeform it as he goes.
He was winging it.
Sure.
Him and Chow Yun-fat both worked together on that part of it, which I think is pretty cool, because they did see the potential in what they had.
Yeah.
You know, and even though they were more pacifist kind of guys.
Well, he actually lost to get funding to do this movie, had to go to the same financial institution that Chow Yun-fat used,
and Danny Lee.
Yeah, so he had to go to both of those to get funding to make this movie.
But that's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean,
because I can't remember who the guy that was backing him, but he wanted him thrown off the sequel to Better Tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah, because of the cut.
Yeah.
What was his Song Hook or something? Sui Hark. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then it wasn't very well received in Hong Kong right away.
No. I think it was bigger. It was bigger in Korea, and then eventually, and then they almost got every award.
Well, and this is the movie where it was originally it was 120 something minutes, and that's the one they did in Taiwan. And then when he released it in Hong Kong, it was down to 110, and he was like, "This is exactly what I want."
Cool.
You know what I mean?
I wonder what the extra 10 minutes was.
I don't know, but that's a great way to do a test audience. I'm going to give a whole country my test audience.
Yeah. Why not? Right? Shit. That's, yeah. They're like, oh, what happened to that scene? It's gone now.
That's over.
Yeah. So, principal actors, you got Chow Yun-fat, right? What? He's Ah Zhong.
Chow Yun-fat in the John Woo movie? What?
Then you got his light to his dark.
And Chow Yun-fat's playing Jeff, who is our hitman, as we find out.
Jeffrey.
Or Al Zhong, right?
Ah Zhong.
Yes.
I guess Jeff is a easy name.
My name is Jeff.
For dubbing.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
Yeah, Jeffrey. Mm-hmm. And then you got Danny Lee as Inspector Lee.
Easy to remember his name that way.
Yeah.
Spelled different, though. You'll never know.
Then you got Sally Ye as Ginny.
Right.
She's a major part of it. Kong Chu as Feng Sai, which
What was his name in this one? It was Sydney.
Yes.
Yeah, he was like the friend who set up the job.
Right. Then you got
Isn't that right?
Yeah. He was the one that was always like, yeah. Their police captain, I thought he was so comical in this. I didn't. He was about the only one I was like, man, that dude sucks. Kenneth Song, Fui On Sing. He was one of the bad guys. He was a pretty good. Just the way his mannerisms and his face and everything like that just really look.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked mean. You know what I mean? He was kind of running on things. Shit, he was in A Better Tomorrow. He was on a lot of things.
And what was his name?
Oh man, I don't remember what his.
Is it Xing Fu? Oh,
Fu Wanxing.
Okay.
I forgot what his name was in.
It's weird. All the bad guys in his movies. This one's Johnny Wing, right? And the other guy's Johnny Wong from Hard Boiled.
And the main dude is Jeff.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. Is like they're like, fuck
my
it.
name is Jeff.
Yeah, my name is Jeff.
And then he just pulls out 2 guns and starts killing everybody.
Yes. He's like, good guns. My name is Jeff. So that's pretty much really who we got to talk about. It was released on July 6th, 1989.
Yes.
And
not seen by me until a couple years later.
Yeah. I think it was like
92-ish.
91, 92. Whenever it came out on video.
Yeah.
92.
Yeah.
So, of course, you got its final take at the box office was $18 million. It's respectable.
I didn't see anything for the budget, did you?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
But I think he was like raising money as he went kind of a deal at one point, too.
Okay. So they probably got their initial startup capital and then kept going.
It's like when Trey Parker and Matt Stone made Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, see?
Yeah. As you do.
Yeah, as you do.
I need more money to make this. Who can we talk to?
Let's go ask George Clooney.
Well, because I think that he talked about in a lot of his press stuff and in his fundraising and making money about this being like an homage or a celebration, if you will, of like Martin Scorsese.
And the French director.
That I don't know.
That did La Samurai.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Mm-mm. No.
I was not familiar with that at all.
One thing that's really cool about
but
this.
Now maybe I will watch it.
This is a Criterion collection.
As it should be, dude. It sets a really high bar for action films, in my opinion.
You look at every critical response to this and every like major critic website. Mm-hmm. You're looking at almost even IMDb has it listed as 7.8 out of 10.
And then like Rotten Tomatoes, which whatever is 98%.
Yeah,
dude.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of movies that are up there like that, and especially a movie like this.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, completely badass. So, you ready to get into this movie?
Let's do it.
All right. So it starts off basically that the killer, Chow Yun-fat, he's going through. He's there at some weird club type of a deal, and Jenny's singing,
right?
And he's kind of walking through everything, like, yeah, you know what I mean, like I'm cool, because does he get like the job orders at the very before they go to the club?
I think so.
Yeah, so he's like getting orders for everything, right? It was like, hey, go kill this dude. Here's the file. He's like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
And it's going to be like this is his out.
Technically, it's supposed to be his last one.
Right.
Yeah.
Last job that he's going to take as a hitman, basically.
Right. So
for the triad.
So he's going after this one dude, and he's at a club somewhere, like some seedy underbelly 1980s club. You know what I
Right.
mean? So he gets all dressed up, right? And he has his white scarf on and everything. Gets his guns all ready because he's got like, what, 3 or 4 of them or something like that.
He carries guns everywhere.
Yeah. So he goes into the club and he starts kicking the crap out of everybody. Starts shooting, and basically that one's when he's in that room going after the main dude, and he kicks the table and the gun flies up and he's like, whoosh, pow!
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
That's John Woo.
yeah, yeah. He's like out of bullets and everything, and he was ready to leave anyway.
Right.
He's like, screw it, I'm out. But then, so he's going around the corner and he notices, because he noticed Jenny to begin with their song, you know, Ashanati. I had it memorized the other day, so I could do it. But so he's rounding the corner, and then somebody comes out of the blue, right?
Yeah.
And he knocks her down to save her, right? So he gets 2 in the back.
Yep.
He still has that same gun. He leans up, takes 1 shot, and then Jenny's eyes, basically the muzzle flash,
Right.
knocked out her eyes, right?
Cornea or whatever.
Right. So of course he's the anti-hero, pretty
Right.
much. So he grabs his. It gets really dramatic and everything, and he grabs his scarf and wraps it around her head and everything, and
Then he's go ahead.
No, and then he's like, you know what I mean? He's like pissed off.
Yeah, and isn't the next scene at the church
Yes.
where he's getting the bullets taken out of his back? That's pretty graphic. That was some good acting, I thought. I mean, it showed real pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of, and there's some actors that can't pull that off.
I'm
I
telling
thought that
you.
was pretty impressive.
Yes.
Pretty impressive stuff, Chow Yun Fat. Like
Yeah.
you need my pat on the back, I'm
Right.
sure.
I mean, literally, he's in front of the altar of this church that's under construction or something like that.
John Woo has said a lot of times that this is not a religious film at all, but like in this shot specifically, like there's the cross behind him, the whole deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
So
don't know if I'm buying that guy.
so the monks are actually taking care of him,
Right.
right? And I think there was that one comment early on too where he was like, "Why are you in this church?" And he's like,
When he's getting his instructions, yeah.
It's like, I like the solace.
Yeah.
It's very quiet. He's like, okay, sure, whatever. That's
Because that's when he met with Sydney
yep.
to get his
Get his orders.
to go do this job where he accidentally blinded this girl.
Right. Yeah. So the next scene comes along, and she's at the hospital,
Right.
and they're unwrapping her eyeballs, and his partner, the main guy's partner,
Main guy's part.
the Danny Yoon,
Danny Lee?
yeah,
Oh, you're talking about Randy.
yeah.
Right, so the cops. Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't really introduced them yet in our story.
No, yeah. So the cops are there, right? And she's getting unwrapped. She's like, I can't see anything, because they're hoping they would be able to find out who
Like
did
identify it, yeah.
this. Right. So they're basically like, oh my God, what's happening? And she can't see shit. And he's like, whatever. Piff. You know? So then basically, kind of after that, we get to see Jenny performing again.
Yes.
She's in the club again, but yet Chow Yun Fat's always watching her, right?
Jeffrey, yes.
Sees that he's, really screwed up her life and everything like that, because it's only like 6 or 7 months after, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't think they really say, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
But it's sometime after.
yeah, they in passing somewhere they say something like that. You know,
Gotcha.
it's been a only this. He was the one that blinded you,
Right.
not too
Yeah,
long
yeah.
ago. So they both took hits on that first, deal. I mean, he's got the bullets in his back, because he tried to save her, and then he fucked up and blinded her, so she can't see, and he's like almost kind of like just watching over her because he's made those mistakes, and I guess this must have been his first real mistake. He's like, fuck, collateral damage, and I didn't want this collateral damage.
This is my last one.
Right. Why did this have to happen? That's pretty crazy to think about, too. He's like, why? So
Damn yous.
yeah. So, he's hanging out outside while she's leaving, right? And then, of course, the thugs come up. They're like, hey, baby, you want a good time? She's like, leave me alone. He comes over there and whoops the shit out of 3 of them, right? Like, kicks the crap out of them. And he's like, hey, I watch you sing. So that was his kind of in right there. So
And that's when he walks her the rest of the way home, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then he visits her, quite a bit because the first time that he goes in, she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." And then the cat's in there. Mm-hmm. Supposedly, that's like a sign of bad luck. Yeah.
It means like poverty and
doom.
Yeah.
So,
and we get that cat another time.
Right. So, of course, we got the hotshot cop, right? And then we got his partner.
Danny Lee.
Yeah. And
is it Lieutenant or Captain Lee or what's his name? What's his rank?
I think it's Lieutenant.
I feel like it is too.
Yeah. Lieutenant Inspector, or it's Inspector.
Inspector Lee. And Randy.
Randy. Yeah.
We're jumping ahead.
Yeah. So
foreshadowing.
So, again, he's got to take on one more job.
I love their American names, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Jeffrey and Randy.
Randy,
Come on. And they didn't even change the other guy. They're just like Inspector Lee.
Let's leave this one, Lee. So, of course...
sing another song, Jenny.
Of course, he has one more, and he's got to take out some really big.
So he takes this job to pay for her to get a corneal replacement, or something.
They're going to replace her corneas,
so
overseas.
That she can see. Yeah.
But she's only got a limited amount of time,
right?
So he's like, "Fuck it, I'll take a rush job. Give me what you got." And he even names his price, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll ask the big guy,
Right.
So he's like, okay, cool. I'll do it. So he gives him all of his guns and everything like that. Then they're at the annual boat races, the dragon boat races or whatnot. So Home Dude
That's a cool scene. I like this, yeah.
And supposedly John Woo did film all of that stuff before the movie,
right?
And then just kind of threw it in. And they didn't want the boats to be knocked over and everything. But this is really cool because you get to see just like the precision that he has. I mean, it's pretty awesome, right? So the main dude is like, he's a piece of shit anyway, right? Piece of shit, like politician or something. So he puts the dots on the eyes and everything like that. They start the whole ceremony, but we get to see Chow Yun-fat kind of like creeping in the background on a speedboat, right?
Right.
And he's got a mustache and some sunglasses.
His hair's grayed.
Yeah, some sunglasses and stuff like that, and a brown suit.
Yeah.
It's weird. So
it's summer. You
right.
can get away with that, whatever color it was.
So of course, he's the inspectors and everything are all surrounded him, and because they know that he's a big target for anybody, right? So of course he's God knows how far away. It's got to be a long ways, and he's on a rocking boat at the same time.
Yeah.
So we get to see him kind of pull out the deal. He waits for his time. He waits until they start the drums,
right,
like really loud, and then he one straight through right in the middle of his head.
Yep.
And then on the way down, he shoots him two more times before he even hits the ground. So then he just kind of reaches over and drops the gun into the ocean.
Yeah.
And just,
it's a good way to get rid of a gun, I would assume.
Right. Who's going to find that shit, right? No fingerprints. So, of course, Lee, the Inspector Lee and Randy. They're like, oh, shit. He's just fainted. Don't worry about it. Go about your business. And they're like, holy shit. And then he looks over and he sees Chow Yun-fat kind of driving out, right? So he hops on the nearest boat, right? And he's like, come on, Randy, let's go. So they hop on their boat. And
it has one engine.
Yeah, right.
Or one motor.
And Chow Yun-fat's got two on his.
Of course.
He's got a valid speedboat.
He's ready.
They got like a fisherman's boat.
Right.
Like
They're
a rescue boat. So, of course, they're almost catching up to him, but then he's like, yeah,
But he doesn't even have the speed. Like, it's like less than half.
Yeah, it's at like 2.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
They're at 10.
Yeah. Once you just see somebody's behind you, that's when you get away.
Right. Well, he's already had this out planned. They already have this route planned for him. So he just goes into the bay or the cove or whatever this is, gets out, hops in his car, and he's gone. Right. So of course, he disappears, and they're like, what the fuck, right? So of course, Chow Yun-fat's like, yeah, I got away, so he's kind of walking up the beach and everything. He sees a little girl playing, and she's all smiling and waving. Everybody's having a good time, right? And
I'm gonna stop you right there before we get to, because this is a big part, obviously. When they were doing the boat scenes, Wu wanted to flip one of the boats, and the owners of the boats were like, no, that's bad luck, dude.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, like, that culture, like, luck is a big deal.
Yeah, big time.
You're just tempting the fates. So I thought I would share that.
Yes. So he notices something because he stops, because the little girl makes like a weird face, like, what is that?
Right. Because she sees a reflection.
And it's a scope reflection from like 5 feet away.
And it's cool because we see it from the scope's point of view, the shooter's point of view,
right?
Where he's walking in between the
behind
trees. The trees.
Yeah, and then he stops in a good spot.
And he stops purposely, obviously, behind that tree. And then he uses the reflection
from his sunglasses. So he takes the sunglasses off, and you can see it in the classic John Woo thing.
Yeah.
And then he does a danger roll.
Yes.
And then kills the dude in the bushes. Of course, everybody comes out of the woodwork.
There's like 75 people there all of a sudden.
Yeah, the Crazy 88 show up in their rugby outfits this time. So they're going after him because he's looking for his car.
And this is about the same time Lee and Randy pull up, right?
Well, not yet, because they have an explosion.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So he starts taking out everybody.
Explosion in a John Woo movie?
Whatever.
You think he's Michael Bay?
So he starts taking everybody out, right? But one dude comes out with a machine gun.
Yep.
And that's right after he explodes the air tanks like James Bond and shit, right? So they see it and they're like, "Oh, let's go over there," right?
That's right.
So they're on their way. The other guys are going after him. He's taking everybody out. One dude comes out with a machine gun, mows down the little girl.
Right.
So and he's like, "No fucking way, right? This ain't gonna happen."
And he like jumps in right away to like cover her and save her.
He grabs her. He ends up doing like a couple of more danger rolls over some shit, right? Gets into the car, right? Throws her in. He's like, everything's going to be okay. He puts his brown handkerchief where she got shot, right? And then going towards, everything. But at the same time, Randy... Randy and Lee show up, and they dive off the boat, you know what I mean, and start shooting the bad guys too. Right. Even
they're
though
going after him, but obviously these are not good people.
Correct. So they can see that he's got something. He's got a kid. They don't know if it's a hostage or not, but you can already tell that there's that suspicion from Inspector Lee that it's like, wait a minute, why would he stop to save a little girl? You know what I mean? So of course, they start chasing him. Of course, he's got a badass, Audi or Lexus or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's like fucking outrunning them. And then he's like, wait a minute, where's the nearest hospital from here? And, okay, let's go over to the Sacred Heart, right? So, of course, he comes in there and what does he say? And I always thought this was weird, too. He's like, where's the casualty? Where's the casualty?
Well, and if you look, there's a sign that says casualty.
I know, right?
Apparently a section for...
I guess that's
Hong Kong.
I guess that's emergency
hospitals. Yeah, they're like, oh, you've had a casualty.
Yeah. So,
like, did that person die?
Right. So they actually start working on the little girl, right? And she's, everything's looking rough. Of course, Randy and Lee show up. They see the car. They're like, he's in there. Let's go. So they go into the trauma room, and of course, right before they get there, Chow Yun-fat kind of goes across to the other side to get the advantage, right?
Right.
And they're still working on the little girl, everything like that. They both come in. He's got a gun on him.
Right.
And they're like, holy shit, come on, man. He's like, nobody do anything. Yeah. The little girl kind of flatlines a little bit, but then she comes back. And he's like, all right, cool. It's my time to leave. He's fast as a mofo too.
Yeah, he is.
Like he literally like pushed Randy down.
Randy.
And he's out the door, right?
Yeah.
He's out the door and he's in the car and he's gone by the time that they even know what's up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, of course,
Slippery little cat.
right. He got out. He's good. And it's like, oh, thank God, right? So because he at this point too, he's like, all right, Jenny, I'm gonna have your money. We're gonna go do this. This is what this job is for. Blah blah blah. Right? She still doesn't know he's actually the hitman. He's the killer.
Right.
So he doesn't really have kind of like his out yet. He should have left. You know what I mean? Because he's waiting for his money.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants his money from his homeboy, right?
From Sydney, yeah. Sydney's supposed to give him the money from the triad boss for doing the job, but really it was the triad boss that sent these people to kill him.
Right, because Sydney's like, hey, you got to give him his money. He's like, I'm not going to give him his goddamn money. He's gonna squeal. He's like, dude, this guy's not going to squeal.
Right.
Because, in Chow Yun-Fat's apartment, when he was playing harmonica, they're drinking some Budweisers, right? He throws a beer at Sydney, and Sydney can't catch it in his right hand.
Right.
Because his right hand is damaged. So there's that kind of dichotomy right there, too. You got an old hitman that's kind of stepping up for his best friend, pretty much, is what it is, because they're like so totally close, badass friends, right?
I didn't know he was a hitman. I just thought he was a fixer.
No, I think he was a hitman before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he was a hitman before, and then...
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying no.
Yeah, that's what they were alluding to, because he was like, how's your shooting hand? And he was
Right.
like, I can hardly use it.
Right.
But then he drops the beer, and he catches it with the other one, and he's like, I'm still fast. I'm like, whoa. That dude's badass. Except for his right hand. So, of course, the boss is like, yeah, screw you. He got away. Why are you going to do... He's like, you better give him his money, because you don't want to fuck with him if he doesn't have his money, right? So then...
Well, and he even talks about, I promised him.
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like, this is what we're going to do, because that's what I said.
It's that like honor code.
Yeah.
He's like, I told him. But for one thing he doesn't do is get his own money out. Why not? Right? So, of course, he doesn't get anything, right? And he's like, no, this ain't gonna work. This we're not gonna do this anymore. So he starts to go after everybody, right? So we can kind of skip a little bit more. And the first time that Dumbo and and Mickey Mouse meet, he can sense that he's there.
Right.
So he's walking up to Jenny's place, right? But they've already pretty much identified him
Inspector Lee.
Yeah, Inspector Lee, because they
I
have...
think we've made those, like, who was who on that.
Right, because he's already there.
Right.
Inspector Lee's already there, and then the killer's walking up, but yet Randy's taking out the trash and
it's Randy.
getting distracted, as we find out. You're not doing your job right. He told me to do this. He's like, what? So Randy's like, dipshit Randy, right? Drops the ball. So of course,
for that later.
So of course they're in their standoff, right? And she's like, oh, I didn't know you guys were friends. We used to call ourselves Mickey Mouse and what were you, Dumbo,
Yeah.
I mean, so they kind of get into this little witty banter and everything. And they sit down. She's like, anybody want some tea? And they're like, okay, cool. And of course he's covering Jenny too. Because she's like, why is it so dark in here? Cloud just went over.
Right.
Weird shit like that.
Yeah,
oh, hold
not
on, let me
letting her
turn
know
on the
it's
light.
as bad as it is, yeah.
She's just deteriorating faster and faster and faster. And she's thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to get the surgery. We got everything ready to go. Of course, Randy's going out the window. He comes in and they're like, oh, it's another friend. Oh, wait a minute. I was mistaken. He was the gas man. Like, what the but because he's always got the drop on everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, of course, they got the gun at everything. He gets away. He's running down. Of course, Randy's stuck on the roof. Home dude looks out and is like, oh, I gotcha. Or what are you doing out here, Randy? And he's like, this dude's got a gun pointed at my ass. He's like, okay, don't shoot him. So of course he gets away.
Right.
So again, we're getting a little bit more of the whole, you know what, he's a good guy somewhat, even though he did.
Well, yeah,
blind her.
because now they're like, wait a minute. So he took this kid to the hospital. He's helping take care of this girl that he blinded. There's obviously more to this story, you know?
Right. He's totally cool. Randy isn't, but
No.
Home Dude is. You know what I mean?
Inspector Lee.
Yeah.
Or who we can refer to as Dumbo for the rest of the show.
Yeah, Dumbo and Mickey Mouse is Chow Yun-Fat.
Yes, the killer.
So, basically, he's away, and then of course he's going to Home Dude. His Sydney is going to get his money again,
Right.
Because he promises Jeffrey,
Right.
Mickey Mouse, that he's going to go do it. He's like, I don't care what happens, I'm going to go do it. You
Right.
know? So he goes, because basically, is this the part where Chow Yun-Fat's in the Jeep and he goes for the boss? Yes.
Yes.
Because he hotwires a Jeep and he's kind of chilling out. All the bosses coming out. Sydney's coming out too. And
this is where he basically just takes everybody down except for Sydney.
Right.
Like he just goes balls out.
He shoots the door with the shotgun and barely gets the other dude. Like, I never knew what that was at first. I was like, wow, and he shot. Damn, what was that? It was like the whole interior just got blown out. So, of course, you know, all the other guys are coming. He's like, shit, I'm out of ammo. Sydney starts chasing him pretty much and is like firing at him. And then they meet at the top of the hill and he's like, I'm sorry, Jeff. You know, this is not what friends do. And he's like, you know what? You're forgiven. Yeah. He's like, why would you do that? You know, I mean, the dude's like totally emotional. Like, fuck, I let you down. Right. But yeah, you're going to be really cool. And he's like, it's life. You know what?
Well, and he even makes a comment later when he does go back to get when Sydney goes back to get the money. And he's like, I don't need it. What I need is your friendship.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, he's like,
so
I don't
he's
care.
Obviously, a good guy. You know?
Right.
The more you watch, the further you get in the movie, the better person he is. Even though he kills people.
Yeah, of course.
But they're bad people.
So technically, he was supposed to get that money and then meet Jenny at the airport.
Right.
So Jenny's like, she's the bait. He's supposed to go in there, right?
Right.
So Sydney and Jeff, decide that they're gonna. We don't really see this, but because you see Sydney start walking through, and he's like, "Hey, baby, you want a good time? I'm all drunk."
So like they all go after him, and he runs off.
Right. So he distracts them, and and of course, Mickey Mouse is part of their like this weird, I don't know, business club thing or something, whatever it is, and so they're all bowing to him, and they're like, "Man, maybe." Sydney's doing a good job of like concealing his face and everything like that, and then acting the fool. And then they're thinking, "Oh shit! Well, here he is. He's right here." And they look across the terminal or wherever it is. You know, it's pretty. Like, I guess it's just the ticket counters. So they run after it, and of course nobody's there. They're escaping through the actual whatever you call it. The baggage handling things.
Yeah.
Baggage conveyor belts.
Right.
So.
Which is a good way to escape.
So basically, Sydney is arrested, and they're like, "Come on, give him up. We know he's your friend." He's like, "No, he's not. I'm a drunkard."
Just trying to have a good time.
Yeah. Acting a fool, right? Yeah. So everything's blown.
I love it because he's like, I can't remember what the guy asked him, and he's like, "I'm drunk."
Because I'm drunk. Yeah. Why were you going after her? Because I'm drunk. And I was looking for a little play. But then he gets taken off the case.
Yeah.
Dumbo gets taken off the case with Home Dude, right? So
Randy.
So
Randy.
Because to formulate that plan, they end up at Sydney's house.
Yes.
Sydney's got a house by the beach, which, of course, Jeff's like, yo, you know, she always wanted a place by the beach. Jenny always wanted everything like this. And they're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. Then, of course, that's because they're kind of off in this weird little spot, right? So after Sydney leaves, of course, the other guys come after him.
So Sydney's leaving now to go get the money again. He's like, I'm going after it. That's happening.
I'm going to get your money
I told
for you.
you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, this is
get
my
it.
my word is bond.
Yeah.
You can use all the weapons you need in here. Do whatever you want to. You and Jenny just stay here. I'll go get your money. You guys can go.
Yep.
Cool. So basically, he goes in there and takes an ass whooping of his life. You know, because the main triad boss is still alive.
Right.
So
even though Jeff shot him in the head?
I don't know, shrapnel, something like that.
Something.
So basically, he takes a beating from hell, then eventually gets a hold of a gun.
And he does. We do see that he is a killer as well.
Right. And he's like, I thought your hand was bad. And he's like, nope, because I still got it. You know what I mean? But then the briefcase opens up and it's just full of paper.
Right.
Like, God damn it. Come on, man. Came all this way for this shit. You gave me a newspaper?
And then, so back at the house is where we get Inspector Lee.
Yes.
In his pinstripe jacket?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
I'm jumping ahead.
Because Randy is actually tailing the other dude.
That's right. That's right.
So he's
tailing who?
He's telling his best friend, Jeff's best friend,
Sydney.
Okay. Yeah, he's telling him, and of course, you know, there's.
And that's when he gets shot.
Yeah, that's when he gets shot.
Yep.
You know, because that was before, and he kind of tells him where he's at. You know, because Randy's dying. He's like, Randy
drives for a while, being shot in the neck.
Yeah, no shit. He gets pissed off. He's like. Ugh.
And I did like the scene, like when he finally does stop, and it kind of you see his vision blur.
Yep.
You know, I was
and he's kind of looking, and then he only wakes up enough to tell Jeff because Jeff's already off the case. You know what I mean?
Jeff
or
Lee.
Yeah, Lee's already off the case. Dumbo, and so he tells him where they were at. He's like, okay, it's in the secluded deal. So of course. Sydney gets the shit kicked out of him, right? Like, going crazy. But there's already a soccer team or a rugby team or the Crazy 88, however you want to look at them. It's kind of playing, you know, they're like, ha, look at these balls, you know what I mean? And Jeff's like throwing all of the guns into the trunk of this car that they got, right? Because they were supposed to meet at the church whenever he got the money, right?
Because
so
that's the meeting spot.
Correct. So, again, Jenny's vision is dying. Of course, Home Dude's pissed, and we're talking about Dumbo being pissed. He's mad. He knows where they're at.
Inspector Lee, because Randy died.
Yeah, because Randy supposedly died. That's like his best friend, you know?
Sure.
So he's basically outside of the whole place.
And he does some danger rolls to get up there.
Right. Yeah.
He's in that pinstripe jacket. I remember that. And I was like, man, that's a pretty mean danger roll.
No shit. Yeah. Danger rolls by the topiaries. You know what I mean? And then, of course, they all come after him. Right. Like big time, right? So they're both there, and they're like, hey, you know, maybe we can do this.
Well, the interaction where he comes in and he's got the gun, you know, and... The whole interaction there is where they actually start having conversation. And it's before... Because that's when he introduces him as Dumbo, right? Or no, he calls him Mickey Mouse. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't remember how that started.
Well, they started in her apartment.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
When Randy's outside.
Randy. Yeah, so that's where they give each other names like they're old friends. That's right.
So they start talking, and she already knows who he really is.
Right.
You know, because they told him, hey, it was this dude that shot you. So your friend really isn't, you know, your friend.
Right.
He's the one that did it. All we want to do is keep him safe because he's wanted. Somebody's going after him. Everybody's going to try to kill him, right?
Right.
So basically... we get the baddest ass freaking house shootout ever.
Absolutely.
So they're working together.
Yep.
They kind of figure out, you know what? We have to do this right now. You want to stay alive? You got to help. You know,
kill first, arrest me later.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot first, arrest me later. So they get into that whole thing where they take out, at least
88 guys.
Yeah, 88 dudes. 88 rugby players. And that's when we get like the really cool choreography between the different places. He even like hits some dude with a pan at one point. Yeah. They're kicking the crap out of everybody. The car gets set on fire.
Yep. Right?
But they're like,
Well, and is this because he shoots the car and then shoots the fuel?
Yeah. After.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he has to get the guns from something because they go into Spectre Lee's car.
Right.
And of course that thing gets all beat up because when they're escaping, they got other cars after them. Right. So they get away. They end up at the church.
Right.
And of course
that beach house because it wasn't really on a beach. But
the near beach house.
That was a mean fight. There's many good things to say about that. Like, it was done very well.
Like I was saying, how he literally would know what was coming around corners.
Yeah.
So people were in the different hallways, and he'd be like, bam, 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 and then grabbing other guns, you know? Because he not only had his 45s, he's grabbing everybody else's.
Right.
And these are like real guns, too.
Yeah.
They're always real guns because Hong Kong's laws.
Yeah. And Lee uses a speed loader in his revolver, I noticed, too.
Right,
right. I was like, all right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Because that was the introduction to Lee at the very beginning that we
And we see him again later with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that we did kind of gloss over because they were at some like gun buying thing. And of course, some dude gets killed, like a lowly, bike cop gets killed, and he's like, "No,
Randy Jr."
Yeah. So he kind of gets pissed, and you get to see him that speed load kind of fall into his hand, right? The way that he's shooting and everything too, I mean, he's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And then he has to grab different guns too, shotguns, whatever, but he's still got his 38.
Hey, whatever you like, man. Whatever makes you happy.
Right.
Whatever the government issues you.
Right.
When you're a cop.
So everything in there, that whole place gets destroyed.
And then you're right. It's absolutely a lot of picking up weapons as they go and just a lot of killing.
Going from one room to the next.
Yep.
And then having to go back into the other room and then back into the big window bays. Everything.
Absolutely.
So they get to the actual church because Jeff's already been hit once, hasn't he? He got hit at that part of it because he's wearing the white, all white, So they're at the church. They're waiting for Sydney.
Well, they were going on holiday.
That's right. So you had to wear something baggy and white.
Yeah, absolutely, as you do.
Yeah. So it's I guess it's later in the night, Yeah. And Sydney basically, he shows up. He's like, I tried to get your money. I couldn't get it. Because they have that little witty banter before, maybe we could have been friends before this.
You're talking about Dumbo and Mickey Mouse?
Yeah. And because they're sitting by after they escape, they sit by the river.
Yeah.
And Chow Yun-Fat's like cleaning his arm, and
he's cleaning Chow Yun-Fat's arm too. He's like putting the gunpowder in it. They cut the shotgun shell.
Yeah, and he's like,
he has a stick in his mouth, because as you do, so you don't scream like a madman and cut your mouth all up.
But he fucking takes it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think that's the cool part too. Like, okay, so like one of my favorite Sylvester Stallone movies is First Blood.
Right.
Like when he's sewing himself up and he's yelling and whatever, but he doesn't emote the pain like Chow Yun-Fat does, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
You're
right. Yeah.
This guy's in pain. This hurts a lot.
He can't even look at it. He's like, ah.
So I think that part of it's more realistic,
Right.
I'm not saying we're not gonna get into First Blood.
No,
it's a great movie though.
Yeah, it's one of the best.
I mean, it's got Brian Dennehy on it. How could it go wrong?
You can't go wrong with a Dennehy movie. So literally they're getting ready for the battle of their lives because Sydney pulls up and he's led them to him. He's like, I don't care anymore. So he tries to bring, he's like, dude, I couldn't get your money. I'm sorry. Your friendship was so important to me. I really wanted to get it. And he's like, listen, man, you're okay. Everything's good. Yeah, no worries. I'll figure something out. Of course, the Crazy 88 show up.
All of them, the head guy, like
everybody.
Yeah.
Even because they brought out that one killer to go after him, and that dude was like a freaking badass too.
Yeah.
So he's there with all his men plus the Crazy 88. And then the head of the triad.
Not referred to as the Crazy 88.
No, of course
just
not.
that's for us,
Yeah,
listeners.
Yes, because they're wearing their Reservoir Dogs suits.
Yes.
So they get into another fantastic firefight.
Absolutely.
This one does have a lot of the pauses and the bro moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like, ka-king.
Little stops with the mouth. And
Yeah.
The face shots.
Yes.
Stop
Where they're
there. Stop here.
like, ka-ting.
And that's where when they fire and hit the Madonna and it blows up.
With the shotgun.
Yeah, that's where they have the music change in it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit more dramatic at
Right.
that point, because before that they were just kind of shooting the dudes in the rafters and everybody that was coming from everywhere. They're like
And they shoot the priest.
right. Yeah, the priest or the monk or whatever,
Whatever he is,
because the head triad dude shoots him.
Yeah. Johnny Wing.
Right. So of course,
No relation to Johnny Wong.
So we get into another kind of like hard boiled, another little standoff.
Yeah.
The main bad Johnny Triad.
Johnny Wing.
Yeah, the one that Sydney almost killed, but
Yeah.
really couldn't because he had a bulletproof vest and shit. So he's got Ginny, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got the really badass dude that came after him.
Right.
And he's like, hey, he's dead already.
He just puts a bullet in his head too. Doesn't
Yeah.
He shoots him again.
He shoots
right?
him. He's like, now what you got?
Right.
I'm like, oh, man. So he's like, put the guns down. You get down on your knees.
And that's when Chow Yun Fat looks over and he sees that Inspector Lee has a gun in the back of his pants.
Yep.
Like in his belt.
Right.
Or whatever,
So he's basically trying to fall back, right?
Right.
And he grabs the gun. He gets shot again, but he shoots, right, and kills the other. Or no, he doesn't kill the other dude, but he gets blinded himself.
Yes.
With an explosion. So he's screaming on the ground. She's screaming on the ground. Jeffrey. It's like,
Lee is still going, Randy.
Yeah. Then of course
Not really. But
all the rest of the cops show up.
Right.
The police force shows up. He's like, hey, arrest me. And he's like, hold on a second. He's like, you can't kill me. You're a cop. And he's like, So he ends up shooting the main bad guy.
Yeah, the triad boss.
Yeah. Inspector Lee shoots the triad boss right in front of everybody else. And they're like, oh, well, I guess you're not going to be a police officer anymore. While he's yelling, Dumbo, Dumbo, Mickey Mouse, whatever he called him.
Mickey Mouse, yeah.
Right. Because we get that scene of Jeff and Ginny, and since they both can't see, because Jeff tells him at one point, he's like, hey, if I die, take my corneas and give them to Ginny. That's what I want you to do. And he's like, okay. Well, he can't do anything. So it's that big tragic ending, because he's dead. He dies without finally getting to Ginny because she's completely blind at this point too. He is. And then she just kind of like crawling all over stuff.
There was I read something where John Woo wanted to do another scene where she's like waiting at the airport for him. At the end, but like whatever, they didn't do it. Like for him to come with the money.
Oh yeah,
they changed that though. Obviously,
yeah, because all we get after this is a slow pan back, and Jeff is playing the harmonica.
Yes,
and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, it was a little discombobulated, but
good movie.
Yes.
I think that they did a good job, of Inspector Lee and Chow Yun Fat's killer character finding common ground of honor to some degree. You know what I mean? And just like even the inspector's always like, man, I feel like we could have been friends in another life or something like that. You know?
Right. And I think it's always Chow Yun-fat saying that. And Inspector Lee's like, I don't know.
I thought the opposite on that scene.
Yeah, because he's like, we're a lot alike in some ways. And he's like, we're not a lot alike. You are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Because all of those, they were basically looking out for each other.
Yeah.
At one point, Jenny's behind like the altar or whatnot, and she's getting shot at, but yet something clicks in Inspector Lee, and he's like, all right, now I'm there. And then they do that whole like Lethal Weapon, like we're coming out.
Right.
Get out of the way.
Here it comes. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. I don't know where they were going. But that's pretty much
I think
how
they were just going out to kill. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they even have that, I'm glad I got to know you, Dumbo. Or he's like, I don't even know your name. But he does.
And he's like, is there any reason to
Yeah.
or whatever?
What for?
Yeah.
And he's like,
Just call me Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, okay. Sure. That's why he's screaming at the end, Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. I love this movie. I love everything that it is. I love everything about it. I think this is probably one of the highest rated movies that we've ever done as far as like overall.
Sure.
With everybody that likes it.
Definitely favorable reviews across. I don't know. We did do The Thing. It's a very well-loved movie.
Yeah. But not like critically.
Oh, I see what you're
at
saying.
First.
You're saying,
This one,
well,
like...
this one wasn't at first either.
Yeah, let me see.
You know.
Let me see.
I'm not saying that, yeah, I think you're probably right, especially for the Rotten Tomatoes things, but I don't really like that website anyways.
IMDb's got this one as an 8.1, so yeah.
Nice.
This is better.
Better
than this.
So, for your money, Mickey Mouse versus tequila.
Shit. That is a hard one. 'Cause like of course they're both the same dudes, but
Different kind of characters, really.
yeah. I would say tequila.
Yeah.
Yep. Just because he's a survivor,
Yeah.
And yeah, the killer.
Cop versus killer.
Yeah. That's what the whole movie is.
Yeah.
Cop versus killer. But yeah, no. I would say tequila is badass.
I would say tequila based on toothpick alone.
There we go.
I mean, you really can't mess with somebody. Look at Cobra. He had a matchstick, I guess.
yeah, but still.
Yeah. Mouth fetishes.
Yeah, weird. I guess it's a sign of cockiness or something when they're chewing on something or have something in their lips.
Badassness.
You know who else had that? That Gina Carano in Deadpool.
Yeah.
She had a matchsticks, which is weird, and she was a badass.
Yeah.
You know who I really haven't put up against any of the other action people? The Bride.
Oh.
Really though? I mean, The Bride she ranks up there with Commando and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. She fights a lot of people.
Yep.
That are trained and badass themselves.
So yeah, her. Yeah. Cobra. Brutal. Yeah. And Chow Yun-fat.
We'll have to have a versus episode.
Ooh.
We'll each come up with we'll have a battle royale.
Yeah, who would win?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one.
Show.
Yeah. So, out of 5 45s, what do you give this?
Oh. 4.5.
4.5, 45s. Yeah, I'm a
There's
5 out of 5.
There's some, as you mentioned earlier, a little bit of discombobulation, but it's a great movie. I mean, 4.5, and I'll be honest, I think that the last couple movies we've done in this are probably some of the highest ranked movies that we've had.
Yes.
For us, not just for other people, but for us personally.
Right.
You know?
This one, like I said at the very beginning, genre defining.
Absolutely.
This is an inspiration to a generation of filmmakers.
Absolutely.
Still, to this day, the impression that this movie has left on people is still there. I don't know if it's still celebrated by this, like our generation and the older generation to us that was really into it at that time. But I don't know if the younger generation really knows, a lot about this.
Right. Well, I'm sure there are people who are into film and into action films specifically.
Of course. But I really didn't see a lot of chatter about it on the internet.
No, not a ton. Other than the fact that it was supposed to be remade like 17 times for the United States.
Richard Gere and Denzel Washington?
I know.
Oh my God. What was Home Dude was always wanting to remake John Woo's movies. The same dude.
Which
what was his name? It was just, it's basically it's the same guy wanted to remake Hard Boiled, and the same guy.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of people that were attached to the remakes of this movie specifically. A lot, because they've gone through so many. Everybody would be like, "Oh, this guy dropped out because of another project. This guy dropped out because of another project."
Yeah, But why do we need it? We got John Wick.
I don't know that we do, and I'll be honest. I don't think this would be a movie that I would remake.
No,
it's a good movie as it stands.
Would
you
never.
Don't need anything else.
No,
it's not going to be as good. I mean, yeah, you can update things because you're going to have a bigger budget. You're going to all those things. But why?
But it's
great movie all the way around.
Yeah, they made 3 of them already. They're John Wick movies. Honestly, for real. I mean, he's a killer.
Yeah.
And an ultimate badass. So they souped him up. Put a freaking 454 inside of him.
John Wick or the killer.
Oh yeah, the killer, of course. But John Wick is like fucking badass. John Wick. Yeah. No. That's a. I mean, and they made 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't have to make 3 of this one. They only took 1.
That's true.
But it's the same. It's the same kind of character.
Yeah.
Except for they got a world built around it.
Yeah. And I would say John Wick, he cared about his dog, obviously.
Yeah. And his wife.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that I don't know that he was as good of a guy as the killer. Like in his,
correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct. His code.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just
I think if there was somebody that died in his thing, he would just gone on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he never really protected any of the big guys.
Right.
He only used them.
Yep.
Man, brought in Halle Berry for the blood debt.
As you do.
Right.
Yeah.
See,
debt, get you a Halle Berry.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that, John Wick is the killer, in America.
Yeah.
So that works.
There you go.
Yeah. But
I think without these movies, you don't get a John Wick.
No.
I don't think you get that progression. I don't think you get like we even said before, the Matrix, stuff like that. Not to stay on a Keanu Reeves train. That wasn't my intention, but I don't think we get those movies.
No.
To the degree that we have them now. You know what I mean? It'd be a whole different movie.
100%. You don't get Desperado.
Yeah. Which was, that's like one of the most stylized kind of action
the
films.
way that Antonio Banderas wields the guns, right?
It's very much like John Woo and Chow Yun-Fat being in any movies together.
Yeah, it's like it's like, if you notice, it's like he's playing the guitar. He's playing the guns like an instrument.
Yeah.
So that is a different
and a lot of no-look shots.
Yeah. So it's a very, very fluid, awesome gun fu kind of a deal in Mexico, but at the same time it's like, cuz he's a musician, he's adding that extra little flair to it, And the whole no-look shit, And then Selma Hayek.
Yeah.
Not bad to look at.
She's not terrible to look at, that gal.
But, honestly, I don't see anything that has to do with like this kind of action like this. There's just so many facets to it.
This is, like you said, it's genre defining, so a lot of people took inspiration from it.
Mm-hmm. It made America go, whoa, holy shit, we got to make something just this good.
Wait a minute, that guy's got 2 45s.
Yikes. No, I think I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it.
So if you haven't seen this, you should watch it, 100%. And let us know what version you watch and what they call each other, whether it's Mickey Mouse and Dumbo or Butthead and Puke Face or whatever it was. Wasn't Puke Face.
Dipshit and numbnuts.
Numbnuts, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, maybe there's another one out there. You said there was one with Donald Duck. You know?
Yeah. There's like 3 or 4 different versions.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Check it out and let us know what you think. And enjoy your Hong Kong holiday.
Yes.
And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. It's
So-
a Hong Kong holiday.
So this is Christmas.
So this is Christmas. It's a very good year. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day, you stole it away. These years, we save me some tears and give them to someone special. I love singing it that way.
You sound like whatever that guy's name is from that 70s show.
Guillermo?
Guillermo.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Fez.
Yes, Fez.
I always think of Guillermo.
Yeah.
Man, when I hear that
Guillermo
song,
del Toro.
it just puts it in my head, and I sing it around my wife. She's like, "Oh my god, it gets so stuck," because I'm singing the wrong words too.
Of course.
These years, you save me some tears. Me and this one dude, Tony, back in Amarillo, we used to every Christmas, because we worked together for a Christmas. And he was he's a totally cool dude, straight up 100% Mexican, everything that he did. Somebody yelled at him one time and called him a taco eater, and he was like, just trying to rally him up, and he was like, yeah, I like tacos. What's the matter with that?
Brush your teeth.
Yeah. So he said some white dude was yelling at him like, taco eater, and he's like, okay. Is that supposed to mean anything? I like tacos.
I'm going to just throw it out there that I think that maybe the United States consumes more tacos than any country.
Right.
Just throwing it out there.
Right. He did. So the dude didn't want to come out and say beaner or something.
Right.
But yeah, Tony, me and him would always sing all the Christmas songs like that. It was fun, and I still do it. Every time I hear George Michael, I'm like, these cheers. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Whatever holiday you celebrate. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful holiday season.
I hope you get all the G.I. Joes you want.
Absolutely. And I also hope that you go to dropculture.com. Check out all the ongoings there. Poke around a little bit. And if you really feel like in the giving mood because of the holiday, drop us a review. Giving a review to us is like giving us the world.
That's a Christmas present. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Shout out to those who gave us a Christmas present.
Thanks, guys.
And if you haven't given us a Christmas present, here's your opportunity.
We'll see you later.
Peace.
Cheers. Juice, say me some tears.